bit of delay in the connection. Good afternoon, traders. Good afternoon, good afternoon. I think we've got our connection going now. We are up and running. A little bit of a delay, but should be good to go. Let's see, just checking the systems. Yeah, there we go. All right, fantastic. Today is June 18th. It is, what, 4:02 p.m. Eastern Time. The market just closed for the next couple of days. Market is closed tomorrow for Juneteenth. So from a trading standpoint, we'll pick trading back up again on Thursday. And Thursday's trading is certainly going to be an interesting one with FOMC. But we'll dive in here in just a second. I'm seeing people get into the room. If you could hear me okay and I'm coming through to your speakers okay, head over to the chat and just let me know. My name is Daniel. I'm with VantagePoint AI, and in today's session, I am going to show you how I use AI, artificial intelligence, to know what to trade. So if you can hear me okay, let me know in the chat that everything is coming through just fine, and I'll make sure we can get things off and running. We'll put a little hello in the chat just to start things off here. Hey Roy, how's it going? Glad you're in here. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And all clear. Love it, love it, love it. All right. Hey Barney. All right. Interesting avatar. Audio sounds great. Jamal, Cliff. Hey, how's it going? I'm glad it's working well in Texas. One of the great things about technology is we can reach out all over the United States, all over the world. Heck, it's fantastic. So got a good session today planned, and doing it after market hours I think is a good thing once in a while. I try to change the time of our lives to get as many people into the session as possible. You know, our goal is to provide you education and information, an understanding of the markets. This is purely educational. I'm not providing any trading advice. I'm not an advisor. I'm an expert here at VantagePoint and helping people understand how to utilize technical analysis, specifically artificial intelligence driven technical analysis. And that's where I'm going to spend my time today. So, hey, Oregon and Mojo, nice to see you in here. Thank you, Emric. Looks like everything's working. You were just talking to Dave. Great, 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 great. Good. Well, Dave is a nice guy. I know him well. So here's what we're going to do. I titled this How I Use AI to Trade. And the reason I did that is because that is the number one thing that traders ask us about. You know, when I ask a trader whether they've got VantagePoint or they're using artificial intelligence or they're new to the markets or they're experienced, it doesn't matter. I ask the question, you know, what do you want to improve? What do you think can help you be a better trader? As a matter of fact, go to the chat box right now really quickly and answer that question for me, please. What do you believe? Think critically about your trading for a second. What do you believe could make you a better trader? Could it be knowing what to trade? Could it be entries? Could it be exits? Could it be stop losses? Right? How to avoid bad trades? What could make you a better trader? Out of those 5 things, and I'll list them again: knowing what to trade, knowing when to get in, knowing when to get out, knowing where to put a stop loss, or knowing when not to trade. What could make you a better trader? Hey, Ann. Oh, you're asking about the summit in July. Yes, there's, I think, maybe a seat left. So Ann is a VantagePoint family member, and we do have in-person events where we do live training right here in Tampa. So yes, there's I think one, but I'll have to double check. Jamal says all of them. Pick one. Pick one. Roberto says knowing which sectors are moving up or down, which would be knowing what to trade, right? Entry and exit points, says Hebrew. Okay. All right. Knowing what entry and what direction. So that's, you know, when to get in. Knowing exactly what you trade, when to trade, how to trade. So what to trade. Okay. What to trade. Barney, Oregon, what to trade. Mojo says stop loss, when to get out. Exits are certainly certainly one of those key pieces of trading, right? Whether it's a stop loss, whether it's you getting out of the market or the market taking you out. When not to trade, says Cliff. Okay, all right, I like it. I like it. Good. Well, that question's an important question. And if you haven't asked yourself that question lately, I'm glad I asked you now, because as a trader, regardless of whether you're using artificial intelligence, whether you use technical analysis, fundamental analysis, it doesn't matter. I'm not even talking about your analysis. I'm just talking about in general. You've got to know specifically where your biggest area of opportunity, which is why I told Jamal, pick one, because it can't all be the biggest, right? Alexander, I like it. He says ditto. Jamal's ditto. Yeah, that would be great if you could fix all of them. But if you can fix one thing, what would it be? And just like when I ask here, it's probably about 50% what to trade. Looks like maybe 30% entries and 20% exits, something like that. Regardless, what to trade is the area where people usually say, you know what, if you could just give me that one stock, that one pick, when it's going to go up, and I could be a more successful trader. And that's usually the case, which is why I think today's session will be a good session. So why don't we dive in? We know what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to spend my time in the VantagePoint software. For those of you that have the VantagePoint software, you'll know where I am. For those of you that have never seen this before, because this is live and it's public, so there may be people in here that don't have access to this information. I use VantagePoint to do all of my charting analysis, all of my technical analysis, because it predicts up to 3 days in the future with accuracy up to 87.4%. Is it perfect? No. Why would I say it's perfect? It's not. Nothing can tell you 100% of the time where something is going to go. Hey, Claudio, welcome back. Yeah. But VantagePoint with accuracy up to 87.4% is, my choice of tools. And if you don't have VantagePoint, it doesn't have to be your choice. That's up to you. But let me show you why I pick it and how I use it. First of all, I'm looking at the S&P 500. This is the SPY. I'm looking at it as an ETF. VantagePoint can do the analysis on the ETF. It can do the analysis on the futures market, regardless of the case. But when you look at this, there are several things on this chart. First of all, understand we're looking at 3 months of data. This chart came out at 6:30 last night, right? It updates at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. I don't know why I'm writing everything I'm saying on the screen, but I think you get the point. It updates at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it provides a future-looking forecast of where an asset is expected to go, right? Right? Debbie, I don't know. How do I get it? Debbie, if you got questions about getting VantagePoint, you can always go to AIforecast.com. Right? If you go to the forecast, AIforecast.com, you can get to that information. Anyway, let's keep on rolling through this. It's forecasting up to 3 days in advance several things. The trend direction, the strength of the trend, the momentum of the trend, and the predicted high and predicted low for the next trading day, so you know upper and lower limits, right? If you go to VantagePointForecast.com, we can dig into that, more in depth if you want to. But the key here is I've got information around where the SPY was expected to be today. The blue line being above the gray line right here is telling me that there is some bullishness expected in this trend. The shaded area being green, very easy to read. I think for those of you that haven't know it, this is the medium-term crossover, or I should say the 2-day trend prediction, saying bullish or up, okay? If I'm just interested in 1 day, I can certainly change this to the 1-day prediction, and I'd get the same information, bullish and up from an overall trend standpoint. Now that means something to me. That means that the direction of this trend is expected to continue over time. It may not be an up day. It may not have bullish momentum, and it may not be a strong up day, but up is up nonetheless. And again, I'm showing you my step-by-step process because I want you to see exactly how I use AI to know what to trade. That's the point of today's session. So I very clearly have a trend that's expected to move higher from the 1-day prediction, the 2-day, the 3-day prediction. This is a predicted moving average, by the way. I'm not going to get into a ton of detail into it. Just understand that the formula for this includes predicted 3 days of predictive information in the actual formula. So when it is above that shaded gray area and this area is green right here, that tells me bullishness. I don't have to overthink it. Okay, I don't have to overthink it. So I've got that information now. Now I know. I then go look down here at the neural index and see that I've got some bullishness in the neural index. Why? Again, very easy. That shaded area is green. The neural index, it's called a predicted neural index, and it's indicating whether there is bullish or bearish strength over the next couple of days. Green means bullish, and the other day we had bearishness when it was red. That means bearishness and strength. And what I'm looking for is to gain an artificial intelligence sentiment, right? You may have heard of trader sentiment, seasonal sentiment, a fundamental sentiment, right? Emotional sentiment. There's so many different ways to analyze the markets. What I'm looking for is an AI sentiment. And I'm looking for a view. Here we go with me writing on the screen again. Sorry. I'm looking for a view of what the artificial intelligence is saying about what's expected to happen looking forward using artificial intelligence analysis. So in this case, I've got bullishness in the trend and I've got bullishness in the strength of that trend. I've got two indicators calculated independently saying the same thing, up, okay? And then I can look here at these three individual indicators. These are all forecasted independently and they're all pointed up. What I'm looking for is, if this is the data that was downloaded at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night, what direction were these lines pointed going into that day? And I've got them all creating higher lows. From the beginning of this trend to now, they are pointed up and they've got some bullishness in them. So this is a one-day trend predictor of momentum. This is a two-day predictor of momentum, and this is a three-day predictor of momentum. Now, you can do some of this analysis in other tools. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to use VantagePoint by no means whatsoever. I'm showing you how I do it because I have ultimate confidence in my analysis. And, if you're not using information like this and you haven't jumped on the artificial intelligence bandwagon yet, this may show you why you should have already done this. But nonetheless, I've got bullishness in the trend, bullishness in the strength, bullishness from three momentum indicators, and over here I've got a predicted high and predicted low. This is indicating that I can expect bullishness in the overall price for the day. I'm expecting a higher low and even to a slightly bit higher high. Not much. By the way, this is a 52-week high, in case nobody knows what that is. In case you don't know what that is, that means this is the highest point in the chart in the last 52 weeks, and for those of you that know, much longer than that. I can look back on 10 years of data and you can see that is the highest point on this chart, and it's reached a new all-time high. Nonetheless, VantagePoint is saying we could still expect prices back up there again today. This was at 6:30 last night for the SPY. Okay, so I that's when I looked at it. That's when I do the analysis. I was here sitting in this very same spot at 6:34, and I know that because I took a picture that I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Because this information is valuable, and I want to show you how valuable it can be. So, step one, the SPY is expected to be higher. It's not expected to reverse. I'm not expecting a major pullback, so I can be bullish about the SPY. Here are the cues. This is the cues. This is the NASDAQ. The ETF that tracks the NASDAQ, right? You can see same kind of data. And I am going to wash, rinse, and repeat that process again. You can do this in your platform. You can do this wherever you want. Just make sure you have a process that you can do over and over and over again so that you can get really good at it. Make sure it's a good process depending on tools that give you an advantage, because you're trading against me and any other trader that's out there, which means for you to be a winner in the markets, you've got to have an edge. I'm using VantagePoint for that edge. Now I can see what the cues say. When I look at the cues, I can see very quickly and very easily, same thing. Trend is expected to be higher. There's bullishness in the strength, so up. The AI sentiment on the cues is also bullish. I don't have to overthink it. Because we walked through step by step on the SPY, the kind of analysis you can use, we can do that very same analysis on whatever chart we're looking at. And in this case, I am looking at the cues. One difference, take a look. Does anybody notice where the top of that gray bar right here is kind of shaded red? If you see that, just go over to the chat if you could and just let me know that you see it so I know that you're looking at the right. So just look at your screen right here. Do you see how this has got a little bit of red into it right here on that gray bar? I want to make sure I don't leave anybody behind. I think this is an important topic that everybody should understand. What this is saying, this little bit of red right here at the top is saying, although prices are expected to be bullish and trend and all that fun stuff, the high on the Qs is not expected to get as high as it was yesterday. Thank you, Holistic. I appreciate your comment there. You said, yes, I see it. Ruben, yes, I see it. Okay, we all see it. What that means is, although prices are expected to move higher, we can expect that all-time high is going to hold going into today's trade day. Does that scare me? No. It just gives me information to understand what's expected in the markets. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for information that can give me confidence. Everybody should be. You know, I like to say things like, you need to twist my arm to get in and invest my hard-earned money in the markets, but you only have to whisper to get out, right? Because that's about protecting capital. So in this situation, between these two overall markets, this is the SPY and the Qs, I can be confident about finding a bullish opportunity. By the way, that is step one. That is step one, and it should be step one. Every time you sit down at your computer or you open your laptop, it should be understand the overall flow of the markets from a 10,000 foot view. We're doing a top-down approach, right? Because I need to know what to trade, and I need to know with confidence that opportunity can produce for me. All right? All right, good. So we're on the same page. That means I can then move right into my next level analysis. I can look at momentum with multiple indicators. I have personally and utilize over 120 different indicators that are generated with artificial intelligence to come up with my conclusion. You may not do that. I've been using artificial intelligence for well over a decade. I love those indicators because I can walk away and say, yep, my AI sentiment is bullish, bearish, or consolidated. Based on what I'm showing you here, everything that you're seeing here, anybody that has VantagePoint has access to everything that I've shown you here, right? So you could do this on your own day in and day out. That red doesn't deter. Thank you for the question, Gabrielle. That red does not deter. No, that red just indicates that the high is expected to be a little bit lower. So I'm not expecting a rally on the Qs today. Certainly could get higher prices because it closed yesterday based on this at 485.06. Well, that predicted high for the next day is 486.21, which means there's a little bit of range there where it could still go up today, just not break through it. As a matter of fact, the close today on the Qs, 485.21. 485.21, okay? That is 15 cents higher than yesterday's close, but also below the predicted, or below yesterday's high of 486.86. So at 6:30 last night, what VantagePoint said would happen in the Qs is exactly what happened in the Qs. It went up, but not high enough to break that all-time high. Let's pause for a second and just think about that, right? Let's pause for a second and realize, look at the range. I'm going to zoom in for you guys. Look at the range we had to deal with. The artificial intelligence said from here to here as a high. That's pretty remarkable to say. The market tomorrow, because this was 6:30 last night, would stay within that little bit of range from a high standpoint. And that's exactly where it stayed. You know, just that information right there is pretty valuable if you ask me. But nonetheless, this is just step one. Step one says I have enough bullishness in the markets to go find something from a bullish standpoint. So now I'm going to do a scan, and I'm going to apply these indicators, whether you're using predictive indicators or not, that's up to you. Apply the same indicators that you use. This is not advice. This is from an educational standpoint. This is just how I see it. Apply the same indicators that you utilized to understand the overall view of the market, right? The top-down view. Apply the same ones to find, to a scan, to find an opportunity, right? So that's what I did, by the way. Last night at 6:30, I did a scan. I want to show you that because look, watch. I'm going to put that. This is an image, right? You can see me moving it around. And the reason I'm moving it around is because I did a scan last night. And if I zoom in on this, look at the time in the corner. I'm going down to it. 6:37 p.m. on June 17th, 2024. You see that in the bottom right corner? This is just a screenshot. I grabbed the screenshot last night because I knew that I was doing this session today, and I wanted to show everybody that at 6:37 p.m. last night on June 17th, I did a scan to find an opportunity that was expected to move up. Okay? And the reason I did that is because people always say, well, you're showing it to me now or looking back on it. Nope, it's like a picture of the newspaper, right? 6:37 p.m. June 17th. Anyway, you get my point. So in that scan, and I'm going to run that scan right now for you. I'm going to go open IntelliScan, and I'm going to look for a fresh bullish opportunity. And that scan is the same exact scan that's opening up right now this second. And I'll go back to it. Look, we'll do a little comparison. Here's the image again. Right? Here's the picture I did last night. This is just an image I took. And I know I'm going through a lot of silliness right now, but I'm doing that because I get a lot of feedback on doing a scan the day of. Look, here's the scan I just ran on the top. Here's the picture I took last night. Okay? And I even labeled it for YouTube Live on 6/18. You can see it, right? I'm being completely transparent. First thing on the list, waste management. Okay? So I know I have a bullish opportunity. I run a scan looking for something going up. And look, here's what I filtered on my scan. We're going to walk through this. These are the crossovers right here. I'm looking for something that's been going down and now is expected to start going up. I have it set to down on the 3-day forecast, but up on the 2 and the 1-day forecast. That's this blue line, by the way. That's what I'm scanning there. And then I'm looking for the neural index. I'm looking for something that has a green neural index like the SPY and the Qs had. So that would be up. I need it green. Then I'm looking for neural index strength. I'm looking for something that is building strength from a neural index standpoint. I need this day to have stronger strength than that day. My momentum, my 1-day momentum indicator, that's down here. That's this light blue line. I need that up. My medium term, that's that pink line, I need that on up, and my navy blue, I need that on up. So I'm using the same exact indicators that I used to find whether or not the markets are expected to be up or down, and I'm using them in my scan to go find something. I'm even looking at the predicted trading range. Look, you see where it says predicted trading range? I'm looking for something that has a higher high and a higher low. I want them both to be up. And I'm only looking for things that have options. And I need enough dollar volume that it's very, very liquid. So I have that set from a dollar volume standpoint. And you can see all the zeros in there to 30 million from a dollar volume. Does anybody here, when I say dollar volume, does anybody here not know what I mean by that term? Dollar volume? Because it's a little bit different than volume. And again, I try not to leave anybody behind. If you could go to the chat really quickly and let me know if you're unsure of what I mean by dollar volume. I'm going to get a drink of water real quick and then I'll walk you through it. Sorry about that. I do a lot of talking, so I just needed to wet the whistle. All right, so let me just take a look at the chat real quick. Hey, scalping strategy, how much is the software for futures markets? I guess that depends on how many futures you need. Price does vary, so go to VantagePointForecast.com and we can dig in or you can give us a call. Okay, thank you, Roberto. I was about to move on, but I see you don't know dollar volume. That's okay. So we know from a trading standpoint, like if I look at the Qs, and I can add volume to the Qs from an indicator standpoint. A lot of people look at volume. And when I look at volume, I can see that right here, the Qs had 37 million shares traded yesterday, and the majority of them were long opportunities, buying versus selling. That's volume. Well, at that point, yesterday, the typical price, or the share price, if you will, was, let's call it $480, just for easy math. I guess maybe that's not so easy. I can get my calculator out and I can multiply $483 per share times 37 million shares traded, and that will give me what's called dollar volume. Why is that important? Well, I'll tell you why that's important. For liquidity, people are looking for a certain number of shares traded. A lot of time people put in a volume to sort out their liquidity. I do as well. But some share prices, for instance, Nvidia had a very high share price. Chipotle, very high share price. You're not always going to see 1,000,000 shares traded in something like Chipotle. Matter of fact, I can probably go look up Chipotle and tell you, let's look. Because that's, I need to spell it right. If I look up Chipotle and then I add volume to Chipotle, 423,000 shares traded. So if I did a filter on Chipotle to say, hey, only find, or I did a filter on the stock market to say, only show me things that have 1,000,000 shares traded or 500,000 shares traded, which a lot of traders believe is good volume, good liquidity, it would eliminate this stock simply because not a lot of people can buy a $3,000 per share stock. So when you do dollar volume and you combine dollar volume, which I do, you know, in the software that I utilize, we have that as one of the things that can be used. If I combine dollar volume, my volume profile would look the same, but you would see I've got 1.42 billion. Sorry, 1.42 billion from a dollar volume standpoint. And really, I only need 30 million to say, you know what, 30 million is enough liquidity. So even though there's only 423,000 shares traded yesterday on Chipotle, it's over $1.42 billion traded. That's plenty of liquidity, right? Right. So hopefully that was clear enough. But dollar volume is something that is for you, Jamal. You do have dollar volume and optionable both in your platform. I haven't added anything that that you wouldn't have at this point besides the neural index strength. So hopefully that helps. You just have to search. Go over here. If you're a user, you can go right over to your indicator tree and do dollar volume, and there you go. It'll find it for you. Or optionable. There you go. It'll find it for you. Just do that little search feature, Jamal. All right. I think we've got dollar volume sorted out, so let's just keep on rolling through with this. So last night at 6:37, waste management came up, right? So I opened the chart for waste management. And now I need to do some analysis on this chart. Now, remember what I said. I was looking for something that was going down and just started going up. You guys remember me saying that? That's a fresh crossover that we got the other day. I'm looking for things that have crossed over within the last couple of days that were going down and now started going up. I got that in waste management. That was at the top of the list of my scan. Okay? You're very welcome. Right there, waste management, top of the list of my scan. Now, I'm going to do some analysis on waste management to see what I get. I see my trend is bullish. I see my neural index is bullish. And I know that because it came out of the scan. Ooh, look at this momentum profile. This is a nice shift in momentum. By the way, this shift in momentum started happening before this trend bottomed out, before we got that low. That's how valuable predicted momentum is that, look, the low of this trend was way down here. Well, predicted momentum and VantagePoint was already forecasting bullishness, right? That's great. Frank, why is a long-term down? Okay, one last time, absolutely. So Frank's question, there's a question in the chat I want to answer. This says, why is this on down but everything else on up? That's basically what the question is. Well, one of my favorite strategies is finding a trend that's been falling, finding a stock that's been falling and has found somewhat of a bottom and is now starting to go up, right? That's one of my favorite strategies. So what I'm looking for is something that's been falling for an amount of time and now in the last couple of days has started to turn up, right? That is because there's resistance up here at the top of this. And I know that price wants to get back up there before it fails again. So I'm looking to pick off things between that long fall and that resistance level. I'm looking for this area right here for some gains. So I've got it sorted to sort on the things that have been falling the longest, and then I'm looking for the up. Does that answer the question? If it doesn't, just let me know in the chat again, but that's what I'm looking for. And you can see there's exactly that image. So the top of this trend is up here. That means I've got from the close here all the way from here for potential gains. That's, call it 205, 208. The predicted low here is probably down around 203, all the way up to 213. That's $10 in potential gains before it gets to the top of where this topped out. Hopefully that's a good explanation, because that's for me, it's not the only trading strategy. I also look for things that are breaking 52-week highs. That is just a strategy that could be very, very valuable if you like to trade that way, right? All right, good. So now we're at this point. Again, the question I'm answering today is how I use AI to know what to trade. That's the question I'm answering by all this. So far, we've done our top-down view. We did a scan that matched that top-down view with an indicator standpoint. And now I'm looking at the chart. I always do a visual inspection to get the AI sentiment. The AI sentiment in this case so far, we're getting bullish, 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 predicted high, bullish, predicted low, bullish. Great. Now, this is where I like to layer on some of my extra indicators. This is where I like to layer on predicted MACD. I like to layer on predicted stochastics and percent R. I have all these as part of my software suite. Not everybody will have all these. Again, I have fractal RSI. I have a host of indicators I like to layer on. And the reason I like to layer them on is because I want my AI sentiment to give me a comprehensive view on what I'm expecting waste management to do the next trading day. That would be this updated at 6:30 last night, and it would be for today's date. Today is 6/18. That's the forecast I'd be reading last night for today. So my predicted MACD, I got a fresh cross on MACD right here, bullish. My predicted RSI coming out of the lower zone here, bullish. My stochastics, bullish. My predicted percent R, bullish. So I'm getting predicted momentum across the board, no question or not whether or not it can break this. I can then go and say, is there support and resistance on here? I've got an indicator. I've got two indicators that'll highlight support and resistance, and it's already broken this resistance level, and the next one is up here. Remember what I was saying? This is the play area. This is the zone I want, but I need momentum to push deeper into that zone. The one thing that will obliterate resistance is momentum and volume. I have both bullish volume and bullish momentum from several different cuts of data. So right now, my AI sentiment is saying bullish on waste management. I can do this for seasonal indicators. I can do this for Fibonacci. I can do this for a host of indicators. And at the end of the day, what I want to do is walk away with an AI sentiment, a view of what the artificial intelligence is forecasting for the next trade day. Right now for waste management, we are forecasting bullishness. This is at 6:30 last night, or what time was that picture? 6:37 p.m. last night. We were forecasting bullishness, and things are lining up and looking pretty good from all the indicators we've looked at so far. Now, I also know that waste management is a part of the consumer non-cyclical sector, which is a staple. So I'm going to go cross-check the staples, if you will, XLP ETF, and see if I'm getting one-day bullishness on XLP. I want this thing to go up pretty much right away because we're talking about trading an option on it. And if I hadn't made that clear, that's what I'm talking about. So at 6:30 last night, here's XLP. My one-day trend is bullish, predicted high bullish, predicted low bullish, neural index bullish, and all three momentum indicators bullish, bullish, bullish. So the ETF, the Staples ETF, XLP, is also bullish on the one-day forecast, which now that top-down view is complete, right? The markets are expected to be bullish. Waste management is expected to be bullish. And the consumer staples ETF expected to be bullish. Trash has to be processed regardless of the state of the economy, which is why it's a staple or consumer non-cyclical ETF, right? So I've got everything I need to think about bullishness, right? I shouldn't say think, because I'm not going to trade off of what I think or feel. I'm going to trade off of what I see with the AI, and I can see it. It's there. Now the only thing I've got to figure out is what position would I be looking for. I can tell you right now from an options standpoint, I'm looking for a 30 to 60 day expiration, right? A 30 to 60 day expiration. So I can do the July 19th expiration. I can set it out the next month. It's about 30 days. And then I need to figure out strike price, right? I need to figure out strike price. So if I need to figure out strike price, well, then what I need to do, Gabrielle, just give us a call. The number's right there in the chat. Give us a call and we can help you sort through that. We'd have to look at your license. So I've got everything I can see. I've got everything I need to do at this point. I'm going to go load on strike price, or I could just look at the predicted high and low. Heck, if I don't have the strike price indicator, great. The predicted high for waste management today was set at 207.21. For those of you that don't know where I'm looking, follow my pink line. Bang. VantagePoint will give you the predicted high, the predicted low, and the predicted midpoint, as well as a predicted trading range. Okay? And it's looking at the next expiration to help me understand how low or high is implied volatility, June 21st expiration, right? So I got that. I can now see that I've got everything I need for a good long call. So I got to figure out my strike. Well, it closed at 206.38. So that means if I want to buy just in the money, I can buy a 205 strike if it's available. I can buy out of the money, probably a 210 strike if I want to, although that's way too far out of there. I'm always looking for a strike that is touching the gray bar. Let me say that again for those of you that have VantagePoint. I am always looking for a strike that is touching the gray bar. Whether it's deep in the money, I don't need to go much deeper or my premium is going to be really high. Whether it's deep in the money or just out of the money, I want it touching the gray bar because that's what VantagePoint is forecasting for a range the next trade day. So I'm just going to go with 205. I want to make sure that there's a 205 strike here. So I'm going to throw on my strike indicators. Again, some of these are optional. They're not required indicators. This is not something you require, but I have. Yep, there is a 205 strike right there. I just need to make sure the delta is good on the 205 strike, and it's got a delta. We said July 19th. What was the date we picked? July 12th. Got a 60 delta. Perfect. Exactly what we're looking for. July 12th expiration. That's almost 30 days exactly. What is that? 25 days. I could go out further and get a different strike and get deeper in the money. I'm going to go with the 205 with the July 12th expiration. If you do that, that gives you the opportunity very quickly to get in the money right away. And the reason I say that is simply because, remember, the ETF for Staples is expected to be up today. It was expected to be up today. So I want to get the money very quickly. If I buy this strike and it goes up, waste management goes up at all, I can make money very quickly. As a matter of fact, I think I can check this. Let's see what I can find. July 12th, 205. The ask was $5.10, right? 5 contracts, $5.10. You can see that's a $2,500 investment, $2,500 trade. And as of the close today, it's up 22.94%. Right, 22% on that one trade alone. And you can see very quickly in one day, that's $700, $800, roughly $800 gain in one day, 25% right there off of that analysis that I did at 6:37 p.m. last night to be exact, going from the Qs, a SPY, ran the scan on waste management, and came up with that conclusion. I don't know about you, but I think that process for finding an opportunity is pretty doable by everybody, whether you have AI or not. That's not the point. Hebrew says 207. So hit 207 today. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that. The markets are closed, and it closed at 207.89. So really nice move. VantagePoint predicted a high of 207.21. That means it closed right up there. And we had that at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time last night, as you saw from that image, that picture that I took last night of my screen, so you guys could see it. So that's how I use artificial intelligence to know what to trade step by step by step. Now, obviously, it took a little bit longer to walk through it because I wanted to teach everybody that. But when you've got it down to a science, you can do it in a matter of, minutes, if you will. If you've got some available capital to invest in the market, it's a great strategy for understanding how the AI can help you using the predictive indicators to isolate an opportunity, set up a strategy. Then all I am looking for the next day, because a lot of people say, is that something you set at night? Yeah, you can set it at night, and expect that you're going to get a fill. All I'm looking for the next day is that when the market opens, that I've got an open that is around that high. I'm somewhere through that mid. I'm looking for something. I don't need it to gap up, is what I'm saying. If it gaps up, I'm not going to get filled. Fine, don't get filled, right? If it opens really low, there's a chance it goes lower and I don't get filled either. So you can either set your order the night before, or you can wait for the market open and make sure it opens, somewhere right in this range, and is expected to run higher, which is exactly what it did. You know, that fill of a 205 expiration is a 205 strike would have been a great one and produced if you had seen this and used the artificial intelligence. So that's my analysis. Hopefully that's helpful. I do have a few minutes left, so if you want to throw a ticker into the chat or a question into the chat, I'm looking at the chat right now to see if there's something there that I can answer. I see something from Frank that says, can the IntelliScan qualify as a bullish continuation? No, this is a fresh reversal IntelliScan. You can see, look, thank you, Frank. You've obviously done some of the training in VantagePoint here. I have several scans. One of them is a continuation, which is something that is going up and is expected to keep going up. And I have a fresh crossover. This one is the fresh bullish scan. So would not qualify as a continuation one. I do have the continuation scan. Obviously, that's one of the scans that I teach and train, but that is not the one we're looking at here. All right. TTWO, Take-Two Interactive Software. Thank you. Let's take a look. So Take-Two Interactive Software, you can see there was a really, really great trend to the upside. You can see VantagePoint forecasted it down here. Do you have, I don't need to know your whole position, but if you want to go into the chat and just tell me what your position was, Hebrew, let me know, because VantagePoint last night at 6:30 p.m. said we can expect bearishness from the trend. We had weakness from the strength standpoint. We had 2 of our 3 momentum indicators indicating bearishness and 1 indicating bullishness. So that's what, 85% AI sentiment score to the bearish side. So that would say that there's enough bearishness here that we'd be expecting for TTWO to fall further and even fall down to 155.97. That's a pretty big fall from where it closed yesterday. Where did TT? 155.37. So it fell even further. Then VantagePoint last night said you could expect this thing to go down, and it certainly went down. I hope you were short that opportunity or long some puts there, something, or you written some covered calls. I don't even know if this is optionable, but it's something that VantagePoint indicated there was bearishness expected there. Let's put on some support and resistance. Now remember, the market's closed tomorrow, so the forecast that would be updated tonight at 6:30 in your software is not about the 19th, it's about the 20th. Market's closed on Juneteenth, so just make sure you recognize that. We've got a lot of room to support. There's a lot of room for this to fall. I can load through, by the way, and put in my momentum indicators and whatever indicators that I would use to make my assessment here. I'm just going to put a couple on. And I can't slice it any other way but bearish, my friend. Bearish, 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 bearish. But we knew that. We've known that for over a week, thanks to the artificial intelligence. Hopefully that's helpful. All right. Oh, there are options. Good. Okay, well, let's hope you were long some puts there. Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. I can always bank on somebody asking Tesla, which I appreciate because it is one of the ones I love looking at, charting, trading, and talking about. So you can see VantagePoint indicated that Tesla, this is in a range, by the way. This is a kind of a stay away from type of thing right now. I know a lot of people love Tesla, but look at this. Let me put on my support and resistance really quickly to show you what I mean. Anytime I see my lines going across the screen like this, and these are my predicted lines, and I see all these resistance levels and all these support levels, like if I scribbled on this and said, if I did this on this chart and then I asked you, what's Tesla going to do? You'd say, I don't know, I can't see behind your scribbles. That's exactly what I see when I go to Tesla right now and I see this going on, because there was a great crossover right here that produced very well. But I've got resistance. I got look at these dotted lines. I got 2 resistance points saying, from a swing trading standpoint, this is not a scenario that you want to jump into. It doesn't mean that it's going to fall off a cliff. It just means I have resistance. Look, if I put my cursor on that resistance, let me get my cursor. 187.51 and 186.61. All right. I've got 2 resistance points right there that say if prices get up there, they could fall back. VantagePoint forecasted a potential low for Tesla today of predicted low is 180.15. So there's quite a big range there, right? And in this case, I'm not interested in Tesla until we get above 180 from a long standpoint. till we get above and stay above 187.36 and maybe even 190 for a few days. Now, the market that's going on with Tesla right now is great for some iron condors outside of those support and resistance levels, right? Selling a 192, 193, and a 160 would be a great scenario for collecting some great premium and creating some income from a Tesla standpoint. And there's a lot of options buyers out there, right? All right, let's look what else we got. Microsoft, MSFT. Let's see what we got in Microsoft, and then I think we'll call it, right? Yeah, trend. Oh, I missed a question in here. Sorry. Is there a way to draw trend lines? Yeah, absolutely. I can draw trend lines myself if I want to. I can highlight, different scenarios. You can do all of that right there in the software. I can put horizontal lines. I can mark things with vertical lines. Absolutely. The software is a full charting program with artificial intelligence. So if you're not using this, you can see that it's certainly possible to do all of that from a trending standpoint. All right, so Microsoft, we had bullishness on the forecast. You can take a look and see that there is a move here where there's overall bullishness, except, check this out. Look at this little tail. Look at this. We see momentum faltering a little bit. Let me pull up my other indicators, because there's overall bullishness in the trend, but we might be seeing a bit of a flattening of that bullishness. Let's see. So we got a resistance point right here with momentum dropping. This looks like a 52-week high. Let's put on, it is a 52-week high. So Microsoft created a new 52-week high yesterday after stalling at this 52-week high just the other day, which means we've got we've got some resistance pushing down on this with our one-day momentum indicating some bearishness in the one-day momentum. I got to start being cautious about. There's going to be some profit taking, is what VantagePoint is telling me in this situation. There's going to be some profit taking on Microsoft today. Oh, what did I put on? I put on my Keltner channel. Even Keltner says we can get a reversion to the mean. So no matter how you slice it, what I'm seeing is, there we go. That's what I wanted. Stochastic. Is some oh, look at momentum. Stochastic has crossed to the downside. Percent R is flattened out and turned down. So I don't have enough momentum to push through the 52-week high that was set yesterday today, which means there'd be a little bit of a flattening in Microsoft today, because if I don't have momentum at the same time I just made a new 52-week high, I don't have enough of a strong push to break through that brand new 52-week high, because a 52-week high is an immense amount of bearish pressure or resistance, and I need momentum and I need bullish volume, a lot of bullish volume to break through it. I don't have the momentum. Let's go check the volume. I do have increasing bullish volume, so I have one but not the other, which means I can expect this thing to consolidate. VantagePoint predicted a low 444.58. That's what VantagePoint predicted for the low, and a midpoint of 448.21. I don't think it went down to 444. Let me see if I can pull it up. The low today was 444.89. Man, look, I've been utilizing these predictive indicators with AI for a long, long time, 13 years now, and still, it just blows me away. It called that low last night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that's what happened in Microsoft today. So pretty remarkable. I appreciate you guys being here. I think we've gone through quite a bit of information. I've shown you my path, how I find these opportunities. We've done some analysis on some of these indicators, and last one's going to be Hasbro for Nat. If we take a look at Hasbro, we can see that we've got another Tesla kind of chart where we've got a channel that's happening. If I drew a trend line on this, I'd say, look, I got a channel here that's a problem. I got a support channel, a smaller one that's here. That's a problem. You can see it coming down. All of this is basically inside of this gap off of earnings. Price cannot get out of this gap at this point. It came up and hit that upper level. I'd expect a little bit of pullback, and I can go through my momentum indicators to see if that is confirmed with the predictive indicators. But right now, there's still some overall bullishness in the trend. Remember, I'm not talking about a trend reversal. The trend is still expected to be higher. We got a green area. We're still expecting an uptrend. There are down days in uptrends. We know that. Look, here's a down day in an uptrend. Here's a down day in an uptrend. Prices recover. So I'm not saying the trend is expected to reverse. I'm expecting some profit taking in Hasbro, but overall the trend still looks like there could be some bullishness, especially once it clears 62 bucks. If it can clear 62 bucks and stay above 62 bucks, what VantagePoint is indicating it could potentially do at some point in the next week or two, then that could be a good bullish trend. But right now there will be some profit taking and some consolidation, and my momentum indicators are telling me that as well. Look, check it out. Flattened out momentum, straight sideways. You see that? This one's still bullish. This one hit a new peak and then reverted. So I've got momentum all over the place, which means this channel is still intact and it's got its arms wrapped around the price for Hasbro and going to keep it right where it is for a little while. So that's it. Again, I'm not providing trading advice, but from an educational standpoint, that's what I see with the artificial intelligence. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to interact with me in the comments. If you found this helpful, tell me that in the chat. I've really found it helpful to answer your questions. I know what you're thinking, and I'm looking through the software, and I can provide you information based on your questions. So that was very helpful to me. Thank you for that. Also, if you're part of the VantagePoint family, thank you for being part of the VantagePoint family. That's why we do what we do. And as far as being here today, thank you for letting me give you the view from my vantage point. I'm signing off. I hope everybody has a great day. Take it easy.